Who are the most watchable teams in the AFL? Who are the most enjoyable teams to view? Whether they are playing in a great or a bad time slot, who are the teams that I like watching the most? There is no better way of deciding this than putting them into a tier list, so let's do it. We're working on 4 tiers, so prime time, which is no matter when you play, you could be in the worst time slot. It'll feel like prime time. I'm so looking forward to watching you play. If someone said to me, hey, I want to watch this team, no matter when they're playing, I'd be like, yes, please, let's put that on. If someone said, hey, we're watching this team, and if I said, oh yeah, I guess so, they would belong in that tier. And if someone else said, Daz, do you want to watch this team? And I physically go, ugh, they'll end up there. Pretty self-explanatory, I would have thought, but here we go. There are going to be some old symbols here. They aren't my photos. Don't kill me for it in the comments. Yes, we are going to go in order because that's the way that we roll. I'm going to try and do this in a way that is going to be as quick as possible. Therefore, you won't really need timestamps because that is what it is. But if I feel like it's gone too long and there are timestamps, just click on your team and go from there. All right, the Crows. Again, I think the Crows are the exact same as the 1990s Cats at this point in time, is that they give up so many points, they kick so many themselves that they are just so fun to watch. And if your team on here is, you obviously for everyone, their team is probably going to be prime time, like, because you can't wait to watch your team, I understand that. Take your team out of it and look at everyone else's, because you're going to disagree with me based on your team probably, especially if they're down on a lower tier. But the Crows are so fun to watch. They are the epitome of Thursday and Friday night footy at this point in time. They could be on Sunday at midnight, and I would be excited to watch the Crows. Brisbane prime time. Brisbane's second halves are prime time. They really are. I do not think they're as fun to watch as the Crows, but Daz, do you want to watch Brisbane? Yeah, I do. I'm excited. I don't know why I paused there, but I'm excited by Brisbane. They're a good team, obviously. I said on Pommy and Oz's kickback show, which was so fun to do, that Brisbane are kind of a boring reigning premier, but I mean that in the most respectful way possible, because they won the flag and every single doubt that you've probably had about them so far has gone away. And if your only doubt over them is, are they going to be able to hold up in first halves? Well, the answer to that is very simply going to be, do you believe that their first halves will improve or their second halves will fall away? Now, they'll have some games this year, and look, it could be on Thursday night that Collingwood get them, and it could be, well, their first halves didn't improve and their second half didn't either, and they'll recover from that. Brisbane at prime time, so fun to watch, and my man crush on Jasper Fletcher just continues to grow, my goodness. Carlton at this point in time for me, and I'm not saying this in terms of the Carlton and West Coast game at all, but there is just a sense of, I have to watch a team that doesn't have a good second key defender, has not a lot of rebounding capability, doesn't really have a whole lot of small forward excitement, and poor Harry's gone through what he's gone through and now he's concussed. Charlie's not in great form. You know, who about the Blues is getting you excited? George Hewitt is in the All-Australian team, don't get me wrong. Are you turning it on? Are you turning Carlton on in order to go, I can't wait to watch George Hewitt tonight? Probably not. I know Tom de Koning is going to be up there as well, but I don't know. I'm just not seeing a whole lot of love with the Blues at the moment. To the Pies, do you want to watch the Pies, Daz? I think they're in the yes please in terms of watchability at the moment. My curiosity with the Pies is definitely just going to be how their health holds up. So I did a video on Collingwood's contendership, which for some reason YouTube blocked from subscription feeds or blocked from feeds for some reason, so like no one watched it, and it eventually got to the point where it was getting restricted, so I just took it down because keeping it up there was serving absolutely no purpose. But the way that their health is going to be managed, I like the way their tall forwards are working. I know they're not producing massive numbers, but they are spreading the load, which is giving Elliott and Hill more opportunity. Lockie Sullivan as a high half forward's looking really good. The old boys are still delivering, and I love Ned Long, and I don't think Ned Long loves me because I annoy the shit out of him, but that's the way that it goes. For the Bombers, look, I'm excited about the Bombers and where they're going. They are definitely an I guess team. Now, this really depends on the opponent. It does, like, the Essendon Melbourne game was definitely, for me going in, I mean, I was still going to watch it anyway, obviously, because I'm a psychopath and a sycophant in that way, but the Bombers are very much playing a game style that they think is going to win them a flag, and they're treating it as a personnel problem, which I absolutely agree with the way that is what they should do. I have no idea if that's a correct sentence or not, but what I love is that they are playing a game style that means Nate Caddy is going to be your second tall forward because they're not bombing it on his head. Good. Even if they don't have another tall forward option, that's what they should be doing. I am on board with the way that Essendon are playing. They do not have the personnel just yet in order to bring that game plan to life from a contendership point of view. They're still an I guess because they can be wildly inconsistent, but what's keeping them off the bit there is that I love Zach Reed, I love Sam Durham, I really do. Caddy and Kako are worth the price of admission. Kako is about 3 weeks away, or maybe even sooner, to kicking 6 and absolutely just ripping a game apart, or having a Nick Watson v Freo type moment where he kind of announces himself to the league that's not a preseason game. So we move from there. Freo as well, this is going to hurt because I'm on board the Freo train, but in terms of being excited to watch, I am more excited to watch them than Essendon just because I think that they're a better team. I love Josh Tracy as well, so that's a big reason to watch. I'm a Jai Amos fan as well, but he's been a bit quiet this year, which is not great. Shea Bolton is the missing piece. I love Brayshaw. I love Caleb Sarong. So look, they are an I guess until they fully do turn it around. I still think Justin Longmuir is their biggest problem. I'm more pumped to see them in order to see if I'm right about them rather than how they play as a whole. I hope that can change pretty quickly though. The Cats, here's the thing about the Cats being in Yes Please and the reason why they're not prime time. And I think it's definitely the I can script how this game is going to go. There is no unpredictability in the way that Geelong play, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. I really do. Like, they're so good, and it's so obvious when they are going to flick the switch. Now, when they do, it's a joy to watch, don't get me wrong. It is a little bit annoying, though. Like, they're so consistently good, and kind of Collingwood are the same a little bit in that regard, but the Cats, I promise you, Geelong fans, this is not coming from Hawthorn hatred. I promise you it is not. Okay, it really isn't. What I'm saying is that you guys have actually been so good and so consistent, the prime time car crash is not going to happen, and the prime time get around the TV because you have to watch them probably doesn't exist either. Usually, Geelong games will be the opposition put up a bit of a fight, Geelong flick the switch, game over. The reason why Brisbane are kind of in that category as well is personally, I'm probably enjoying the unpredictability of Eric Hipwood a little bit more because he can be good and bad and both are worth watching. Zach Bailey, I'm a massive fan of. And as I said, I've probably got a bigger man crush on Jasper Fletcher than I do anyone else at the Cats. Although, as a Hawthorn fan, it pains me to say I like more Geelong players now than I think I ever have. And I don't know what that says about me as a human being. To Gold Coast. Gold Coast is still a yes, please. Am I more excited to watch them than I am Geelong? I think I am. Again, don't take this away from Geelong or the Cats, Geelong or the Pies, I should say. I think this is just going to be a case of Gold Coast, just that side that we haven't really seen be this good before, so they're more important. The reason why I'm not putting them in prime time yet, Adelaide, of course, have played Gold Coast, have played Adelaide, I know that, but Gold Coast's second best opponent is North or Melbourne. Well, that's not great. And they play Richmond this year. So they're not prime time because they don't have the opposition to back that up yet. But yes, please, in terms of I want to see them continue to develop. I want to see them continue to grow and continue to get better. I don't really want them to fall off the pedestal that they're building for themselves. So I'm going to put them in the yes, please category, top of the tree for now. The Giants are prime time. I do not think they are more watchable than the Crows or the Lions. I don't think so. But the reason why the Giants are so watchable is their ball movement, their ability to get on the outside. And let's be honest, Darcy Jones and Toby Green are doing a lot of heavy lifting there. I'm a massive Sam Taylor fan. I'm a massive Connor Iden kind of guy. And Lockie Dash is producing an All-Australian caliber season as well. When they are on a roll, they are gorgeous to watch. Adelaide's still the team that I like watching the most. They actually really could be. I'm going to keep them there. Now, the Hawks. Now, I understand right now that the Hawks, if I wasn't a Hawthorn supporter, I'm going to try and do this as unbiased as possible, and then you'll get the bias bit in a second, are probably going to be here, I think, in terms of the non-bias, because, actually, no, I'm going to put the Hawks, I'm going to put them here. The reason why I think non-Hawthorn fans may put them here overall is the yes please part will be hate watching. Now, I don't think that necessarily means prime time. I think if the Hawks were in pretty bad slots, like they were in the first half of last year, no one would really care as much because they really didn't then either. But as the Hawks got so overhyped and over talked about by the media, which was the worst thing that could have happened. Mainstream media has killed any kind of fan appreciation of how this game plays, because I promise you, I guarantee you that if you hate the Hawks right now, you hate them more because of what the media is telling you about them than you are with what they're doing on the field. There have been no selfie celebrations this year. There have been no taunts this year. None of them has happened at all. And if you still think that they're as arrogant as they were last year, you're wrong. It's the media that's telling you and forcing all of this. They're the best team in the comp. They're going to win the flag. They're going to do all of this, all of that. I understand all that, right? But what is going through people's heads is, we remember what happened last year. We spent an entire offseason saying they're going to be the best thing since sliced bread. They're now 5th, so fuck you. And you're allowed to have that opinion. I'm not going to stop you from having that opinion. What I'm saying is that for all the reasons that you disliked the Hawks last year is not happening this year. And you can either accept that or not. I don't care. The Hawks were not good enough against Port. They need to bounce back against the Cats. But because they are my team, they are going to be primetime. They're my number one team to watch. The bias in me is going to exist. So if you do skip to your team and you see the Hawks here, it's because I'm a Hawthorn fan. If you do not like that bias part, I can't help you. Let's quickly get these two out of the way, just straight up. Now, I look forward to watching North more than I do Melbourne. I actually look forward to watching North more than Carlton, to be honest. Now, look, is part of that because my missus is a North supporter? That's definitely going to be a little part of it. If you want to accept that there is some bias there, that's absolutely fine. The other reason why is because I've kind of got some investment in North, not money-wise and not really emotion-wise, but because I really liked what they did in the off-season, and I can see the potential with how North play with the ball and how dangerous they can look, especially in open transition and especially with locking the ball inside their forward half. North haven't won a game in 2 years winning the inside 50 count, for crying out loud, because they're nowhere near as good as they should be, but they're not as bad as these two, maybe because they don't have as much expectation. Maybe it's because, I want them to do well for my beautiful partner who, seriously, how the fuck she looks at me and goes, I'll have that one. I've got no idea, but I'm very grateful that she does. Don't get me wrong. But North, they can be at the front of my and I don't think they'll move. Anyway, let's keep moving. Port Adelaide. Am I going to do this because I'm a Hawthorn supporter? No. But I am going to put Port at the back end of my, I guess. And this is very simply, again, this is not a Hawthorn thing. This is very simply because the Hinkley car situation is so batshit bonkers backwards that this is just going to be an entirely wasted year, because if they don't make a prelim, all you've done is sacrificed 24 games of Josh Carr's game plan. And if you're going to tell me that Josh Carr's game plan is going to be hardly any different from Ken Hinkley's, welcome to another 10 years of no success. Of course it has to be different. Of course it has to be modernised. Of course it has to go through some revolutions. It just does. That's the way footy works. Why isn't it happening now? Doesn't make sense. I guess I'll watch them. Probably depends more on their opponent. So like a showdown, awesome. I will lock into the game if anyone else above them is playing. Usually. Would I be interested in Freo playing Port on a Sunday time slot? I guess. That's why they're there. Richmond. This is going to shock some of you. I'm putting Richmond here. Again, as a sicker fan, will I watch Richmond? I guess. The reason why they're not necessarily yes, please, is because if Richmond are playing and I'm busy, I am not going to try and get out of the plan or try to sacrifice the plan, right? Richmond are basically my number one KO mini team, that if I have to watch some games and catch up on some stuff and I'm watching KO minis, the Richmond game will usually be first, because I want to see how the kids are defending, how the kids are playing. I am obsessed with everyone on their list that is basically 21 and under at this point and love the way they're going about it. Sammy Lawler is going to be worth the price of admission if he isn't already come the end of next season. Once he's hitting his third year of senior footy and he's got, say, 36 to 45 games under his belt, fuck me, that is going to be worth everything, which is going to be awesome. I'm a Luke Trainer fan. You guys will know that from my draft content last year, which right now is aging fantastically. So I am a fan, and you know what? I might actually move them and put them there. I think so. Now, did I watch the Freo Richmond game live? No. I was at my missus's brother's baby shower at the time. Did I watch the Caro Mini back? Yes. Did I enjoy it? No, because it wasn't that great, but still had a vested interest in how the game went, so they can sit there. St. Kilda very much at the back end of the yes please. They are finally moving the ball in a way that is sacrificing some defense for some offense, and that is awesome. Yes, they lost by 28 points to the Giants. I know that. But can you imagine if that game was 78-50? We would have hated it, right? No, 82-110 is fine, because when they get good, they will win games that way. I am buying what the Saints are selling at the moment. I really am. That is, and St. Kilda fans are going to fall off their chair because they're not used to me being complimentary. The Swans. Ooh, in terms of watchability for me, I am not buying what the Swans are cooking at the moment, or selling, whatever you want to call it. Am I more excited than Port? Yeah. Am I more excited than the Bombers? Sure. I'm not that excited for the Sydney Port game, if I'm being completely honest with you. I'm just not. I'm more excited to watch Richmond's kids. Sydney's better players are out of form. They don't really have a forward line structure. Their defense is fine. I think they really are the epitome of a, I guess, kind of team, to be honest. All right, let's go to the Eagles. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to put them last. Or do I? You know what? I'm going to put them here. I'm going to have a modicum of faith in them becoming, an but I hope they do well. I'm not really having that with Melbourne at the moment. It's more of a, I don't want to watch them. You did this to yourself. Now, you could argue that West Coast also did that because they kept their players for too long. They didn't get draft assets. They traded out of important spots. I understand all that. I'm a Mini McQualter guy. I really am. The change of coach. He dropped Tim Kelly. I love all of that. They are still nowhere near watchable. Don't get me wrong. Carlton, West Coast. Was I watching that game live? Abso-freaking-lutely not. And no one should have been unless you supported one of those two teams or you were at the game or being paid to do so. No. Did I watch the mini? Yes. Was it one of the hardest 15 minutes? It was up there. And finally, with the Bulldogs, I'm going to put the Doggies. In the yes, please. I think the Doggies are pretty watchable even without their injured stars, to be completely honest with you. Love the way that they've gone about it. My YouTube short, which has also come out, is about the Bulldogs, so I don't want to spoil how I feel about them all that much. But I think we've got to give them a lot of credit for the way that they have started at the moment. And I've just realised that this is effectively a top 9 and bottom 9 in terms of watchability. Off the top of my head, this is pretty much those that are in the 8 versus those that are not. I understand that. But in terms of where they're ranked, so I know Gold Coast are not top of the ladder, but they are around that mark. What is really interesting for mine is the fact that there are a lot of Victorian teams down the bottom there, which is interesting, and not a lot up the top. Now, I know that it's 5-4 in the top 2 tiers. I understand that, but only 1 out of the top 5 in terms of watchability. What I will do, though, is because I suffered emotional distress at the Hawks losing, I am actually going to put them there. I still think Adelaide are the most watchable because I have no investment in the result and can purely enjoy myself. Does that make me a proper psychopath? Probably. But there you go, guys. In terms of watchability, that is where I have ranked every team in the AFL. What do you think? Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. Comment in order to interact. I like replying to as many comments as I can. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Vote on your Against the Odds fan selection pick, which is in the community tab, so you can go check that out. You guys are dominating as fans right now. I am not. It's going shithouse. Fingers crossed this weekend doesn't. You can catch my Thursday, Friday reviews, Saturday, Sunday videos as well, and the Easter Monday reaction when the Hawks take on the Cats. See you then.